Composting is where you take plant materials that used to be grown in the soil and let them rot or decompose, and then add them back into the soil to make it healthier and help plants grow.
Rotting plants? That must stink.
Not at all if you do it right, and composting is pretty easy and is very good for the soil. Last fall, we visited Shauna Owens, a gardener who practices composting, to show us how.
What's one thing that we can do to improve our soil? Well, we can add compost. Well, what's compost? Compost is decomposed organic matter. The pile I have down here at my feet, this resembles soil, and that's what compost is. It physically resembles soil. This pile right here is about 80% decomposed organic matter. Soil has been added to it and other things have been added to it, but it's mostly decomposed organic matter. Originally, what this was organic matter such as leaves and grass and shredded things from my garden. That was originally what it was. And then, after a certain amount of time, we'll talk about that in just a moment, I end up with a product that physically resembles soil. What does compost do for the soil? Well, it helps reduce soil crusting. Here in Utah, we have generally really clay soil, or we have sand soil, and it helps reduce soil crusting on the surface. It helps water to retain into the soil, and it also helps with porosity. Well, what's porosity? Here's some more science words. Porosity is talking about the spaces between the pores of the soil. And when you add organic matter, it fills in those spaces with, we call it organic glue, and it helps the soil to retain moisture, and it also helps to feed your plants. This bin is a pile of organic matter that I've just barely put together. When you first build your compost pile, the ingredients are rather simple, and you can even think in color, okay? Think brown and think green. Brown are like dead brown materials such as leaves and twigs, and you can even try to identify what you've put in your bin. These are, I think, sunflower husks. And green are like fresh clippings from your garden or kitchen scraps, grass clippings. And actually, grass clippings and leaves are two of the #1 waste products that we send to our landfills. So what a better way to reduce the amount of materials to our landfills but to compost them. When you're talking about the materials that you put in your bin, it's really important to remember the proportions. So when you think brown to green, generally the best combination is 2 parts brown, or 2 parts carbohydrates to 1 part green. And green represents the nitrogen. And these are the building blocks for the microorganisms and fungi that are in your pile. The fungi are not like fleshy fungi that maybe you like mushrooms that you buy at the grocery store, but filamentous fungi. If you look at this grass, it's covered with a white powder, and this is one of the decomposers in your compost bin, the filamentous fungi. And think of it like spaghetti. That's what it looks like underneath the microscope. And it's really important that if you get clumps of grass, that you break the fungal clumps up and mix them back into your pile. The other important decomposer in your compost is bacteria. And bacteria, big science word, they're ubiquitous, and that means we're surrounded in the air, in the water, in the soil. And the greatest concentration of bacteria are in the soil. So basically what you're doing in your compost bin is you're feeding the bacteria and the fungi, and you feed them with your yard wastes and kitchen wastes. This is finished compost right here. And finished compost, the original materials I put into the compost are unrecognizable. I can't tell that this used to be leaves and grass and clippings from my garden and yard. There's many ways that you can use to finish compost. You don't just let it sit in the bin and look at it, you use it in your yard and your garden. Remember, the most important thing, there is no wrong way to compost. If you turn your pile frequently, you're going to have decomposition occur quicker. If you just let your pile sit there for a year, it's still going to decompose. Time is just the issue. Slow or fast, it doesn't matter. Just compost. There is another way that you can compost over the winter months, and that is by using red wigglers. Red wigglers are a type of an earthworm that you can add your kitchen scraps to. They're much smaller than a regular earthworm, and they are fantastic eaters. about 250 earthworms will go through 6 pounds of your kitchen scraps in 1 week. The nice thing about the worm castings, that's what the worms leave behind after they eat your kitchen scraps, is that they're even more rich than regular compost. Your plants would love a little side dressing of the worm castings. I generally will chop up my, and doesn't this look tasty, chop up my kitchen scraps, whether peels or leftover salad and eggshells, coffee grinds, things like that. It's really important though, please do not put meat or dairy products in your earthworm composter or your other compost bins. They do not decompose rapidly and they can attract rodents and raccoons to your compost bin. So I grind it up because, well, earthworms are small. You grind it up small so that they can eat it quicker and faster. Maybe that could be somebody's job in the house, is to grind up the salad, leftover salad and kitchen peelings. And I mix it in with the soil and the earthworms. Another nice thing about earthworm composting is that you can also recycle your newspapers, because you use newspapers to make the bedding for the earthworms, about 12 to 18 inches. You take your newspaper and you tear it in strips. The thing to remember though, don't use the glossy part of the newspaper. Just tear it in strips and place it on the bottom of your bin. You can call your agricultural extension service and they can give you the designs of how to build a simple earthworm composting bin that you can bring into your garage or down into your basement in the winter months, so that your kitchen scraps don't go down to disposal or to the landfill, but go back in to feed your garden. Again, remember, there is no wrong way to compost, just compost.
So there you have it. A little rotting plant material can go a long way towards making our garden and our earth healthier.
Well, we're running a little short.
What?
Short on time, that is. We hope you've learned something about soil and how important it is we treat it with respect and not like dirt.
All of our futures depend on having plenty of good, healthy soil under our feet to grow our food and other products that keep us healthy and happy.
With more and more people living on the earth, our soil is wearing thin. Practicing conservation and good ideas like composting are things everyone can and should do to help preserve this most precious of natural resources.
It's important, but not just for our own benefit. Truth is, we're only on this earth for a short time, and it's important that we leave something for those who will come after us, our children and their children.
If we all do a little to help save our soils, future generations will look back to our time and say, hey, those people were pretty smart.
So now that you know the secrets in the soil, let's all use them to make the earth a greener and healthier place.
Well, it's time for us to get going. We'd like to thank all our guests who helped us learn about soil, and thank you for watching.
Until next time,
Bye-bye.
see ya.